Hi Nym fam, we are just a few days away now from the start of the season, so I guess it's time to have a look at how my final draft is shaping up. Welcome to today's video. I'm just going to have a little look at where I'm settling at the moment with my final draft and talk you guys through maybe where I might change some things up in the next coming days, or if certain signings might change my thinking. But here's where I'm at the moment, and I don't think I'll be too far off of this at the start of the season in a couple of days. Thank you all so much for your support. It's been great to get all of your votes for the Football Content Awards, so I'm really grateful for that. And you know what? I don't think we're going to quite reach 5k for the start of the season, but I want to say a massive thank you to every single person who has subscribed, because we're really not that far off, and it means the world to me that you're supporting me. So guys, enough Yaga, let's get into how my final draft is shaping up. I still have Sanchez in my team. To be honest, I haven't really wavered on him most of pre-season. He's pretty much set and forget. He has great fixtures: Burnley, Watford, Everton, Brentford, Leicester and Crystal Palace in the first 6 fixtures. You know what? Brighton did so well last season. They kept 10 clean sheets and Sanchez made 67 saves. So I can't really look past him as my set and forget at the moment. I did consider Bachmann for a few minutes, but I think the Watford pre-seasons kind of put me off him a little bit. They don't look quite as secure at the back as I would have liked, so that's the reasoning why I've gone back to Sanchez. The only other goalkeeper I'm really considering at the moment is Martinez. I mean, he is the GOAT, let's be honest. He makes lots of saves. He was the highest point scorer in the goalkeeper category last season for FPL, and he's just been brilliant, really. But his price tag of 5.5 million has kind of put me off this season. It's quite expensive for us FPL managers, and I'm not saying that I won't end up with Martinez at some point. I probably will, but I'm just not sure about him at the start of the season, especially with his fixtures. Moving on to the defence, and Trent is still holding his spot at the moment. It has been really hard. I've had itchy feet on whether to consider dropping him down to the 4 million Samicus that has taken over for Robertson since he picked up his injury. But at the moment I have stuck with Trent. You know what? Last season 2 goals and 8 assists. Liverpool kept 10 clean sheets. Trent is as nailed as they come in that team if he's fit, so that's my thinking with him. And obviously if he starts bringing in the attacking returns, and we're not sure about the rotation with Tsimikas, it just kind of leaves us a bit up in the air with all of that. So I thought it's better to have Trent and be able to downgrade him if I want to, rather than having Tsimikas and feeling like I want to get to Trent and not having the cash to be able to do that. So yep, that plus Liverpool's brilliant fixtures at the start of the season is why Trent is still in this team. As you'll see, since my last draft, I have put Shaw in ahead of Digne. Digne's pre-season has slightly worried me, as has Everton's in general. They have great fixtures at the start of the season, but defensively, they're looking a little bit wobbly, and that is worrying me for Digne, especially with not really knowing what's happening with Calvert-Lewin. There'll be nobody possibly to get on the end of Digne's crosses, so that kind of takes away his potential of getting an attacking return. And if you don't get a clean sheet, then you want that potential of an attacking return. So I just think I've decided to go with a bit more security in going with Luke Shaw at the moment. I love United's fixtures. He's attacking. There are players there to get on the end of any crosses that happen with him. And that's basically my thinking on switching Luke Shaw in for Digne at this point. Soufal and Digne have been a bit of a kind of toss-up for me in the last few weeks. As you guys will know, when I did Sam FPL Families first draft, I had a good discussion there about whether I'm going to go Digne, Shaw, Soufal. And I've really kind of gone up in the air on this one, but I haven't really been able to take Soufal out of my team, much like Sanchez, since the very first draft. I don't actually mind West Ham's fixtures to start either. In their first 6, they only have Leicester and Man United that really worry me there. Love Soufal's attacking potential, 9 assists last season. He had a great Euros campaign. You know what? He hasn't moved yet, and I'm not sure in the couple of days that we have left that he will move out of that spot for me. Moving on to my midfield, and this looks much the same as it did before. As you guys will know, if you're following me on Twitter, then I did move Jota out for Buendia for a little while in a couple of my drafts, but then obviously when Buendia got injured, I was then considering, do I move to Sarr? But then Jota is having such a good pre-season, I'm struggling to lose hold of him, basically. I know there's been a lot of talk about what happens with Firmino coming back in. Can they play as a 4? I mean, they have done in the past, but haven't been as effective as playing in that free system. So that is a slight concern of mine, the rotation. I haven't settled on this Jota spot, but I kind of keep coming back to him, so I'm gonna think about it. Obviously, Bruno, Salah, nailed, set, hasn't changed for me since, basically since I did my first draft. Did consider getting rid of Bruno for a very tiny second. Thought maybe Greenwood can cover him, maybe Sancho can cover him. Then we got some news that Sancho probably wouldn't be starting. And then obviously the situation with seeing Bruno score that fantastic free kick in pre-season was just like, I can't go without this dude. Rather be able to downgrade him than trying to find the funds to get back to him. And then Rafinha has stayed, but I am wavering on him, I have to admit. He got 6 goals and 10 assists last season, had 67 shots, 44 of them in the box and 24 on target. So we know the potential of this guy, but he has been fairly quiet this pre-season. We've had a lot of noise about Bamford doing quite well in these pre-season games. Rafinha's playing them, but we haven't really heard anything from him. We haven't got any attacking threat and stuff like that. So maybe considering a bit of a switch there. But at the moment, it's Rafinha's spot. I am thinking on it. Moving up front, and this is how my front line currently looks. Now, as you'll notice, this team is fairly templatey. I have been known to, in the past, go a bit out there with my picks and try and do something against the crowd to try and get ahead of the crowd early on. This season, I'm going to try and play it a bit safer, and just so that I can kind of, feel a bit more with the pack and be able to react when the pack changes their feeling on a template move. So that's kind of why I've stuck fairly templatey. There has been a lot of thought about whether to move to 2 up top and move some money into midfield, going with a stronger 4 midfield. That is something I'm still considering because I really like the look of Sonny and Mahrez in particular, possibly even Grealish in that midfield. I guess I'm just thinking at the moment that the only way I can really do that is by downgrading Tony to a 4.5 over Femi, and that is worrying me slightly that is going to weaken my bench a little bit. So I guess it's just safety with the crowd. I have made a change from Watkins to Ings. This one I really struggled with because Watkins has been in most of my preseason drafts. I think I just need to know where he's now going to fit in that Aston Villa lineup, whereas Ings feels like we know he's going to play in the forward position and there's going to be no debate over that. So just feels a little bit more secure for that 0.5 extra. And then Antonio has come in purely because I loved what he's been doing in pre-season. As I've said with Soufal, I don't hate their opening fixtures, and it's quite highly owned now, so it feels like I'm covering a nice percentage owned player up front there, so if he does anything I feel like I've got some cover. So this is currently how my team is looking. As I say, it's fairly templatey, but there are a couple of options I am considering here at the moment. So this is basically moving Greenwood in for Jota, as I discussed earlier, which then means I can get Simicast and banking on any potential money that he could make early on in the season. Because he's only 4 million, there is every potential that if he gets a couple of games in a row for Liverpool with those great fixtures, manages to get an assist or two, his price will soar, and that will be great for our bank. Whilst it's not important, as discussed in the tips video with Fergie last week, it is still something worth considering early on. If you can see this potential bandwagon about to happen, then you know it's not a bad shout. The Greenwood situation is much like the Jota situation. I feel like they're both going to have their rotation risks. I'm kind of hoping with Sancho out and Cavani out that Greenwood will start the first couple, as mentioned in the community Hidden Gems video that I put out yesterday. I think Martial has pretty much got that spot for a couple of weeks from what we're hearing in the presses with Ollie and things like that. Don't think that should impact too much on Greenwood because he can still play up top, or he could just move back out wide. So it's not a horrendous situation. I think Greenwood should be nailed for the first couple of game weeks. Whether or not he's more or less nailed than Jota, that I'm unsure about, but as I say, it does give me the opportunity to get Tsimikas in because I'm not using up that extra Liverpool spot. Now, the issue I have with this particular team is that I'm not really sure who I play in the first game week. So obviously Tsimikas has a great fixture along with Trent, so do I go deep in the defence and drop Rafinha to the bench? It's not something I love to do, if I'm honest, just simply because I do love to play attacking players if I'm going to have them in my team. So yeah, this one just leaves me with a bit of a headache, especially with the Brighton lads as well having good fixtures, but I'm not sure I double up on Brighton defence, which probably begs the question, why am I going for Veltman along with Sanchez? Well, I still think there's good potential in doing the double up in the next couple of game weeks, and obviously Veltman carries a little bit of attacking threat, but whilst I have Trent, Shaw and Soufal with good fixtures, I may as well utilise that ahead of Veltman. Now, there could be a potential spanner in the works about to happen in the next few days for me, and this would be if the Lukaku signing gets done and across the line, because I genuinely am not sure I can go without Lukaku in my team if he signs in the Premier League for Chelsea for game week 1. So if that happens, this is probably what my team would look like in that scenario. So of course, at the moment, I have placed Vardy where Lukaku would be. I'm kind of taking a big guess here that FPL towers will go around 10.5 million. Of course, they could go more. If that happens, then I would have to seriously consider this, because if they go to 11, I could probably drop Benrahma to an Emil Smith Rowe for the extra 0.5. But to be honest, it's really scrimping and scraping to allow for him up top. The struggle will come depending on his price. If he is the same price as Vardy, I could live with this team. I think it's a little bit lacking in some areas, but I don't think it's terrible. We can see how the midfield plays out and then maybe put some money back into Obafemi when we have some more options up front, or of course give it back to Tsimikas for another 4.5. But I think at 11 million I could possibly stretch it, because I could possibly see with Arsenal's fixtures playing Emil Smith Rowe fairly long term, so that doesn't worry me too much. 11.5, I think he'd be out of the question for me. I think if he came in at 11.5, I would have to leave it until my first wild card and really seriously consider where I can get the extra couple of pounds from this team. So just to let you guys know, my captain will definitely be Mohamed Salah. The only reason that'd change if something happens to him between now and the start of the season, which we hope doesn't happen. Fingers crossed for that one. But yes, Salah is pretty nailed as my captain, and I haven't really considered anyone else. I've stuck the vice captain on Bruno just for safety, and he does have a decent fixture. You never know, he could get a little something against Leeds. Well, I hope so, considering I'm spending so much. And that's it, you guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Big thank you to my sponsors of this video, Fantasy fantasyfootballfix.com. If you would like to get 65% off their Premium Plus package, you can do so now with my affiliate link, which is in the link tree description below. So make sure you go and check that out. Do let me know what you think of my team in the comments below. Would you change anything up? Do let me know. I really appreciate hearing from you guys. Until next time, Nymfria out.